to me today. My guest today is someone very special and near and dear to my heart. Jim Fay created a program called Parenting with Love and Logic. And my understanding is it's not just for parenting, it's for other relationships, but I needed it for parenting. So Jim Fay is an award-winning author and speaker. He was actually ranked number 19 on the 2019 Global Gurus Award in the field of education. He's best known for his ability to provide simple and practical solutions to the day-to-day challenges of working with children. And I think that's been expanded a little, but we'll get to that. And he's just so much fun. He's an amazing human, an amazing speaker. I've had the honor of speaking with Jim. And Jim Fay, welcome to Relentless Courage.
Oh, what an honor to be with you.
Thank you. It's so much fun. So really quickly, I want you to tell people why you created Love and Logic. But before you do, I just want to tell everybody, I found you about 12 years ago. I thought having a baby was just going to be so easy. I'd have a baby. I would tell her what to do. She would do what I said. And it was just going to be that simple. And when it turned out that I had like the strongest willed child on the planet, and it did not go that way, I just about had a nervous breakdown. I was pulling my hair out. Someone recommended Parenting with Love and Logic, and it literally transformed my relationship with her. We are so close. She was such a hard young child and such an easy teenager. And so I just really want to share this information with other people because it was so helpful to me. So I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And why did you create Love and Logic? How did it start?
Well, you know, I used to be a principal in an inner city school where there were a whole lot of, by the nature of kids not having much, they had to be really resourceful. Mm-hmm. And then I left there and went to a school where there was a lot of affluence. And I got the shock of my life on the first day of school. There was this huge line out in the hall, and I went out to see what it was, and there were all the kids lined up to use the telephone. And they weren't very pleasant either on the phone. Mom, you got to bring me my homework. Mom, I don't have my lunch money. You have to bring this, you know. And they were ordering their parents around, and the parents were zooming in with their Cadillacs and Mercedes-Benzes and all that. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe this. I thought, this is not good for these kids. They're not honored guests in the home. You know, they're part of a team. But so I decided I was going to do something about that. Almost got myself fired. I said to the kids, you can use the phone anytime you want to, as long as you don't make a problem for your parents. Oh, they don't mind. Well, I mind. You know, I wouldn't feel good about you doing that. And one of the big issues was lunch money. Now, those were the wonderful days when kids had to actually be responsible for remembering their lunch or their money. And so I said, no, you're not going to use the phone to do that kind of thing, but we'll feed you. You won't go hungry. You know, if you don't have your lunch money, you can go through the line. They'll give you all the vegetables and all the fruit you want. And, you know, well, the parents didn't take that lightly. They said I was mean. And so I started having meetful night every Wednesday night talking about raising responsible kids. And that's what kept me from being fired. But pretty soon people said, well, you got to write some books. You got to put some materials. We need something. But it was interesting. One of the things I had learned some offhand was that when kids have a problem, or anybody, like an employee or anybody else, you don't jump in right away and try to solve that problem. That's not good for them. That takes away their self-esteem. And so I would say to the kids, well, here's some ways to do it. Well, I found out they still thought I was being mean, so I had to really make a 5-step program for the parents. And I said, first thing you do when a kid has a problem is you're genuinely empathetic and concerned. You say, oh, wow, that's never good. And then you immediately jump to, what do you think you're going to do? Which puts this problem back on them. And they'd always say, oh, I don't know. Well, step 3, would you like to hear what some other kids have tried? That's a big word, tried. You know, and well, I guess so. Well, then you always start out with the worst possible thing. Maybe the kid is complaining they don't let him play soccer out on the playground. Well, would you like to hear what some other kids try? Oh, I guess so. Well, some kids just go out there and bust him a good one in the mouth and say, I'm going to play anyway. See, I like to give the worst idea first because then they can feel good about saying, well, that's stupid. That won't work. And so, yeah, okay. So you always say, some kids do this. How would that work? Well, I get hit back. Yeah, I guess so. You know, well, some kids, they go play something else. Oh, but I want to play soccer. Oh, okay. Well, you know, some kids just go, oh, they go stand by they tattle to the teacher. How would that work? You know, we don't have to come up with good ideas. The
Right.
thing is, we're trying to get them to think, you know.
I love that.
And I have seen some kids who try to make friends with the guy who's running the show out there, you know. They might share their candy bars with him or cookies or something and see if they can make friends. See, we don't have to give them really the right answer. In fact, we want them to think. Now, the hard part of that is to say, oh, good luck. I hope it works out for you. And then you kind of pray that they pick a really bad one, because if they pick a bad one, the other kids will train them not to do that one again.
Oh no.
But think about this. What if they pick one and that works out for them? How do they feel about themselves?
Mm.
The self-esteem doesn't come from by being told you're good, giving you a lot of stuff, that kind of thing. Self-esteem comes when you actually struggle, figure out something, do it, and say, wow, look what I did. I must really be something. That's where that self-esteem comes from. So we found that that was working well with the kids, and the parents, once they figured out what we were doing, they were much more accepting. But then it didn't take too long before we figured out teachers need the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Come in and say, this kid went off on me. Oh, wow, empathy first, right? What do you think you're going to do? I don't know. Would you like to hear what some other teachers tried? And, you know, before long, I found I was getting a whole lot of teachers who were much more responsible and resourceful, didn't think I was supposed to solve their problems, and would actually come in to me and say, Jim, I got this problem. I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think would happen? You know, so
I love that. So what I'm hearing
technique,
is, what I heard right there is it's not just for kids, and that's what I think that other people can benefit from the same type of training.
absolutely. We're way too quick to try to solve problems for other people. But when you think about it, whose needs does that really take
Right.
care of? Yeah.
Right. So the hardest part for me about learning love and logic was the realization. I mean, the realization wasn't the hard part, but when I had the realization that this isn't my child's problem, it's my problem. The problem is me. I am the problem. My parenting is the problem. How can you expect a 5-year-old to figure this out? And when I had that realization, it did set me free, but it also put a lot of responsibility on me, because I went, wait, I thought I was going to be a good parent, and now I don't feel like I'm a good parent.
Yeah.
But once I started to get these concepts down, the next thing that was hard was actually allowing your kid to go through and experience the consequences. I never realized it, but I started to realize it's much easier to get irritated, angry, even yell at your kid when they're doing something really bad, put them in timeout, and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Much
But it
harder.
hurts when you see them struggle, doesn't it?
Yes. It's much harder to not do that and allow them to just pay the consequences. And that's what love and logic is all about. And so, yeah, so that would work with other relationships as well. It's like one of my favorite lines that I stole from Love and Logic directly out of the book was, I don't do things for people who treat me that way
Yeah.
or treat me a certain way. And so you are teaching model, you expect a certain amount of respect, and that you hold yourself to that standard. And that is, not only are you expecting it and training your child or your spouse or whoever to do that, but you're also letting them know that you're modeling it, and you don't do things for people who treat them that way. It's one of my favorite lines.
You know, some people actually have a dream that their kids will grow up to take good care of themselves.
Exactly.
And if they don't see it done, they don't do it.
Exactly.
If they have parents
Kids
who
don't
take
do what
care of
you say;
themselves,
they do what you do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a grandson who loves to solve problems. This is one of the, it's so exciting for him to see a problem and try to work it through. But he started out real young with his parents using this particular technique. One day, he was 3.5 years of age. He came in and saw his mother all upset with the computer. And she's carrying on, "What's wrong, Mommy?" And she's going, "Oh, this computer." And he said, "That's really sad, Mommy. Would you like to hear what some other
Oh
mommies
no.
have done before?" And he
That's
said,
so great. That is so great.
some mommies go out and take it out in the driveway and they drive their car over it.
Oh, I love
And he
that.
said, and other mommies just let it fix itself and they go out and play with their little boy.
Oh,
And I hope it works out for you.
that is
Isn't
fantastic.
that fun?
I love that.
So we can
Well,
start early.
yeah, no, I have to say you became one of my heroes. I still remember the first day. I mean, Daniel knew. I was just like, I was obsessed because when I finally do something, I'm one of those pretty extreme people. I don't take baby steps. So when I decided to get into Love and Logic, I literally went onto the website, ordered every single thing I could get, and then I read the book like it's dog-eared, and I would take drives and I would listen before I had to pick up my daughter because I knew my habits were so deeply ingrained. I needed to sort of put a record scratch in my normal, ability to play my old song. And so I had to keep listening to them until I learned to reprogram myself. And so I remember the first day, and I'm trying to remember how it came up. I think someone from our office reached out maybe about you coming on our podcast, but my phone rang and it was you. And when I answered the phone and it was you, like literally my husband started laughing at me. He's like, "You'd think Tom Cruise called you." I'm like, so much better. It was so much better than Tom Cruise calling me because I was just, because when you struggle with a relationship, when you have that much pain in relationships, whether it's parenting or your spouse or whoever it is, work relationships, it's painful. It's really hard. And especially when there's a child involved, you have these dreams of how you're going to relate to your child. And when it doesn't go that way, it's painful.
Oh, it
So,
is.
yeah, to be able to straighten that out and then to turn around and have this kid. Now, I actually, one word of caution I just want to give people. It will make people, it made me very sad when the day I realized she doesn't really need me anymore. That made me sad. Like I wanted to help her with something. She's like, "No, I've got this." And I'm like, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Mom, I've got it. I've been doing it since I was in second grade." And I realized because I made her start doing it in second grade. And I'm
Yes.
like, but now it's a little bit, I was like, wait, but I want to help you.
That's why it's so rewarding for me to hear about things like that.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so helpful. So tell us, give me an idea how this would work on a spouse. Not that I need it, but just give me an idea how this might work on a spouse if you were, say, in an argument with your spouse.
Well, I think it's the same as with kids. The parents are having a lot of trouble right now with their kids home from school, all the crises that are going on and so on. And we've been suggesting to parents that you really take a look at buying time.
Mm.
And you buy time by, first of all, being empathetic. And I'm not talking about using a lot of words. The people who are truly empathetic hardly use any words at all. They're
Interesting.
more like, "Wow, oh, that must hurt," that kind of thing. And that does wonderful things. First of all, it changes the other person's brain chemistry
Hmm.
and puts them more in a calming mode. It also, when you say, oh, you tend to put yourself back into a calmer position. And then if we can buy enough time to say, "Oh, what do you think you're going to do? What do you think you're going to do?" That's a powerful message, isn't it?
It
That's
is.
that's a message that's laden with trust, isn't it? I don't know. Well, would you like some ideas? With kids, we say, "Would you like to hear what the other kids try? Would you like some ideas?" And sometimes they say, "No, I just want you to listen to me." Well, that's a great time. But if they just, and you have no ideas, that's even greater because you can say, "Man, I'm going to have to think about that." And that's a powerful message that says, "Yeah, this is hard for me too. I'm
Mm.
not the guy with all the answers. I'll have to think about that. I'll get back to you." And you buy a little time and come back later on and say, you know, I thought of some things that I've seen other people try. And from there, it'll take care of itself.
I like that.
We're so programmed that we need to fix things immediately that we actually send the reverse message that says, you can't think, you can't handle this, it's too much for you, you know.
Right.
And that's the last thing I want to do.
Oh, for sure. You know, one of the things that I read in one of the materials I got from Love and Logic was, and it literally changed how I felt about parenting my daughter. So I grew up with a lot of trauma, drama, chaos. My mom was a 16-year-old runaway, and she was a survivor, but she never finished high school. So we did without a lot of stuff. And so I was probably one of those kids you were talking about early on, and not at the second school. But because of that, I had this idea that I wanted to make sure my daughter didn't experience anything like what I had. Mm-hmm. And that turned out to be a mistake. Yeah. I figured it out when she was 5 and she was just out of control. That's when I went, okay, that was not a good plan. But I read something in some of the materials I got from Love and Logic that said entitled people can never be happy. And it blew my mind. And I'm like, oh, and when they really broke it down, it's like when someone's entitled, when they've been given everything, when they have been spoiled and provided all these things and never had to work for it and never built self-esteem, they can't be happy. And I'm paraphrasing greatly, but basically it was eye-opening to me because I'm like, oh, people think that giving their kids everything is going to make them happier. It doesn't. No. And when I read the research on it, it's like, no, it makes them resentful that they can't do it themselves. That they have to rely on someone else. Mm-hmm. Mind-blowing. So what would you say about entitlement?
It's a prescription for a lifetime of unhappiness because you're never going to have, nothing, first of all, is ever going to be your fault. Mm-hmm. And so you're always angry. And the other is you're never going to have enough of the things you don't even need in the first place to keep you happy because your identity is all consumed with this idea of how much stuff do I have, how much are people providing for me and serving me and all of that kind of thing. So it's a really sad situation. Yes, and I don't like to spend too much time on that if I spend a little time on how to avoid it.
Oh, yeah. That would
or how to turn it around.
For sure.
You know? And we found out that a couple of beliefs really make a big difference. And one of my beliefs that is so important is that, you know, the family is not made up out of one or two product and service providers. Mm. It's a team. Mm. A team of people who work together to survive this world and get through and get what we want to have. So if I keep that in mind, that my kid is not an honored guest in my home, he's part of the team, mm-hmm. That's going to head us toward doing a lot of the right things. And the other is, kids cannot live in our home without needing us. Mm. They're going to need us for something, you know. And so that can, when kids want things, it's a wonderful time. You know, some people, well, I can't afford that. How can we do that? You know, or you don't need that. What I like to say, now these are always on my good days, right? When I got my A game going,
exactly,
my good game, I'm going to say, oh, that would be wonderful. You should have that. How are you going to get it? How are you going to earn
love
it?
That.
Okay, you know, right away. And I like for kids, the more they earn, the better they take care of it. The more they cherish it, right? And if I can help my kids along the way, I feel great too. So I really like a matching funds program. And on a matching funds program, I can decide how much I'm willing to match what he earns, you know. Let's suppose he wants this particular gadget, and I think it would be wonderful for him to have that. I say, well, you know, that thing costs $100, and boy, as soon as you can save up enough to get $50, hey, how about I'll come up with the rest.
I love that.
But maybe it's something I don't want them to have.
Right.
Maybe I'm going to have I'm going to offer 10%. But and I still want to be able to give stuff to my kids.
Right.
But I want to do it when it's a surprise.
Right.
I just want it not based on, hey, if you bring home a good report card, I'll give you such and such. No. If you behave, I'll give you such and such. No way. But just a big surprise. Hey, I thought you might like to have this. I saw it the other day. I brought it home for you. It's going to feel good for me to give it to you. That kind of thing. So we want the kids to be earning. We want them to be part of the team. In other words, they have their jobs to do in the house. And of course, the parents have their jobs. And I like the homes where they make a list on the refrigerator of every job that it takes to keep the household going, including earning the money and paying the car and doing the driving and washing and all of that. And then we can sit down someday and we can divide up those jobs. We'll have your jobs and my jobs, and the ones we all hate, we'll do those together. Okay? So then people say, well, how am I going to get them to do those? Well, that's where the kids are going to need us for something.
Right.
Yeah, they come and say, well, will you drive me to your soccer game? Yeah, as soon as your jobs are done. Are they all done? Glad to do it. I'll do them later. Oh, okay, that's when I'll drive then. So let me know when you're ready to go because you got your jobs done. And that works well for misbehavior. We use a technique called energy drain.
Yes.
Think about this.
Saved my life.
Yeah, it drains my energy if I have to worry about you. It drains my energy if I had to deal with your lying to me. It drains my energy if I have to pick up after you, that kind of stuff. So I'm always happy to do the things you want when I haven't drained my energy. Mm-hmm. So maybe they've been fighting and bickering. And I can say, oh, energy drain, that really drains my energy. I don't have to solve it right now. Love and logic parents always buy time, right? Because the consequences come like a lightning bolt out of the sky, rather than them thinking they know what it's going to be. So they come later on and, will you do such and such for me? Well, I think my energy is so drained from watching that fighting, I don't think I'm up to driving. Or I think I used up all my driving time worrying about how late you're coming home at night. Yeah. I've seen it work with 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds. Kids had a big fit, and we know we can't do anything about it while they're having a fit, but that'll be over before long, and pretty soon it'll be, can we go over to the park and swing? Oh, I'd love to, but I think I used up all my park time watching your fit a little while ago. Let's just sit on the couch together and we'll close our eyes and I'll just pretend we're over at the park. And
oh, that's so great. I actually used that a lot with my daughter when I was first doing this. And it started, because I was using the language, I started to figure out the language of love and logic. And it's like, oh, there are going to be consequences. I'm not sure what they are right now, but when I think about it, I'll let you know. Well, she got to the point where as soon as I said there's going to be consequences, she would get so mad. I hate when you use this stuff. But then it didn't take long before she just knew, and she told me, she's like, it's so much worse. This whole consequence thing is just so much worse. And she just hated it.
Because I don't know what they're going to be, and I have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's just
practice for being an adult.
Yeah, and you said something that was so interesting about buying time and not coming up with a solution right there. I'm like, did my husband call you? Did you guys talk about this? Because there's times if we're like, having a heated discussion about something or we're not agreeing on something, he's like, I'll be right back. I have to go to the bathroom. And he'll like just I'm like, where did he go? And
this is a great way to do it.
I think he's like buying time. I'm serious. I'm like, you can't leave right now. And then he'll just disappear. Mm-hmm. By the time he comes back, he's like, okay, let's talk about it. And I'm like, I don't even remember what we were talking about. Like, let's move on.
Yeah, I think Daniel will be a big proponent that when we talk with kids about any kind of a problem, We want to both be in the calm state.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the things we learned along the way at that school was if we talk to kids about their consequences while they're angry, while they're in a defensive mode, they don't hear anything except a little voice in their head that says, that guy's a jerk.
Right.
I hate him. But the ability when there's a problem of any kind to just say, oh, wow. Going to have to do something about that, but not now. I'll get
Not
back.
now. Yeah.
Make
I
all
love
the difference in the world. See, they're tiny little techniques that have huge ramifications.
Right.
Is what they are.
I love it. It was so helpful to me. Love and Logic has just been an incredible resource, an incredible tool. So much so that I have a stack of books that I give out to people. So you parenting with Love and Logic, and there's books for different age groups, and then you've got resources for other relationships as well, which I love. But one thing, if you really are struggling against a relationship where you suspect it's more than just behavior driven, it might be something beyond that. Maybe there's some learning issues or some other problem. I would encourage you to reach out and call 844-818-0616. You might need professional help. So we call it hardware and software. So the parent training is the software, but you got to have good hardware to run it on, right? So you want to make sure, you want to make sure everything's running right. And so I would just encourage you to get the book, Parenting with Love and Logic, for whatever age group that you are struggling with. And Jim Fay has just been an amazing resource for me, and I'm so just grateful to him. And from the day I met you, I feel like it's just been a very special relationship to me. And you probably didn't even understand why, but because I feel like I knew you for so long, and I was just so grateful. It was so awesome.
And I'm so honored.
Yeah, and your son is amazing too. I've heard him speak, and he's also just very gifted and very special.
Yeah,
So.
he grew up to be one of those people who always tries to do what's right, even when it's inconvenient.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's what we want to see with our kids, right?
Uh-huh.
So please share this video if it's been helpful to you. I'm seeing all these comments and amazing things. We'll get to them. I have not had a chance during the show. Sometimes we just answer them afterwards. So if you will share this video, tag 3 friends, and share it, it'll enter you into a drawing, into a 6-month Brain Warriors Way online course that my husband and I did, where we will hold your hand and help you get healthy. Because if you want to help the rest of your family, you need to be healthy. It's a $395 value. And please don't miss next week's show. We have an amazing guest next week as well. And I don't want to give it away, but it's going to be so much fun. And Jim, I'm so grateful to you. You're just an amazing human.
Can I offer a consolation prize if they don't win the big prize?
Yes.
Okay. So the second place winner can have a consultation with me free of charge. How would that?
Oh, dear.
And so you work it out, and
that's a huge gift.
we'll work out a deal.
Oh, you have no idea. That's like amazing. Thank you so much, Jim. That's so awesome. So when we get that person, so we're gonna have 2 winners, one for the drawing and one for the consultation with Jim. And I have to reverse that and say the one with Jim is going to be that's the big prize. If you're struggling, make sure you reach out to us. Go to TanaAmon.com and you can leave your information. Leave a question, a comment, a review, and the questions will enter you in a drawing to have a consultation with Jim. That is priceless. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you. What a wonderful time.
Oh, so good.